Sue Benton was on her way home. She was looking forward to a good supper. She had given her husband, Tim, $20 that morning to pick up pork chops for supper. They were on sale at the local grocery store. With Tim being out of work for over 6 months, money was tight and they didn't get to enjoy top-of-the-line food often. They had to shop the sales. She was getting out of the car when she saw the empty wine bottle. She was angry that he had spent money on getting wine for himself. She went into the house and could tell immediately that he had been drinking. She jumped all over him. "What do you mean getting wine to drink and then drinking the whole bottle? You know the money is beastly tight. Where is the change?" He handed her $5.50. She looked at him with a scowl on her face. He could tell she was really angry at him. At supper she told him she heard that Simpson's service station was looking for help. She told him he should go tomorrow first thing and apply for the job. His unemployment benefits had run out some time ago and he had to rely on her for money for anything. After supper she was still angry, and she noticed he had a tear in the jeans he was wearing. She told him to go change and get some on that weren't torn. He went and changed into another pair. They had a small hole in the rear. She told him to toss both pair and get another pair. He went and put on his last pair of jeans, and thankfully they had no holes. "I am not going to give you any more money. You can't seem to get it through your head that we don't have any money for extravagant purchases." He sat quietly listening to her harangue. He knew he shouldn't have gotten the wine, but he just had a taste for it. It was only for something. It wasn't like it was an expensive wine. But he knew she wouldn't listen to him. The next morning he headed for the service station. He filled out the application blank and the owner excused himself while he went into his back office. He checked out Tim with his last employer. Comments on his annual review were somewhere there is a village in need of an idiot and he spends more time visiting than working. The owner came out and told him he didn't think he was right for the job. Tim headed home. That night at supper he told Sue he didn't get the job. He told her the owner said he didn't think he was right for the job. He was probably looking for a mechanic or something. Sue was unhappy that he didn't get the job but realized he had never done much mechanical before. She told him he should do the laundry tomorrow. She was at least in a better mood than yesterday. He told her he would do it, and noticed right away her mood was a lot better. That night in bed he tried to get her in the mood for sex and succeeded, and they made love. Afterwards Sue got out of bed and was going to toss him his undershorts when she noticed a hole in them, not a small hole, a rather large hole. She told him they were junk and tossed them in the wastebasket. She went to his dresser drawer and inspected his other undershorts. She was amazed that all but 2 pair had holes in them. She realized that it had been a long time since they had bought any clothes for him. She tossed him a good pair to put on, and tossed a half-dozen pair in the wastebasket. The next day when he was doing the wash he noticed that his only other pair of jeans had suddenly gotten a hole in the leg. He looked around for a needle and thread but couldn't find any. He folded them and put them in his drawer. Sue was happy that he had done the laundry. She told him she'd noticed that since his mill closed and put over 200 people out of work, there weren't many jobs coming open. It sure wasn't like the old days when someone was always looking for help. She also told him they only had $7 between now and payday. He'd meant to ask for some money to get a haircut, but knew it was a lost cause. He decided that now was as good a time to have long hair as any. He'd always wanted to let his hair grow. Sue noticed his shirt was becoming frazzled at the collar. She was a fanatic at having nice-looking clothes and expected him to wear decent clothes at all times. She decided to check out all of his clothes to see if there were any other clothes that weren't up to standard. When she had finished, there was a sizable pile on the floor. She had Tim take them out to the garbage. He was devastated that she had thrown out some of his favorite shirts. They were a little worn, but not that bad. The next day he put on his only pair of jeans left. He was doing some cleaning in the house when he noticed that the seam was coming out on his leg. He hoped Sue wouldn't notice that. He went out and went through the garbage and picked out the best pair of jeans there. The next morning when he put them on, Sue noticed right away that they were ones that had been thrown out. She told him to get them off in a very rough tone. He started taking them off. "What am I going to wear? The only pair of good jeans I have are in the wash." "I'll go get them. They aren't that dirty. Leave them in the wash. I'll find you something to wear." She looked in her dresser and handed him a pair of black stirrup pants. He said he couldn't wear those, and she rebutted with a question. "Would you rather wear a dress? You either put these on or I'll find you a dress." He knew that tone of voice and he didn't want to rile her any further. He put them on. He was wondering if she really meant it about wearing a dress. He shuddered when he thought about it. He did the laundry so he would have jeans to wear tomorrow. When he got them out of the clothes dryer, he noticed they had 3 tiny holes in them. It was just from the many times they had been washed. He was sure of that. Why did Sue have to be such a stickler about what clothes were worn? The next morning when he put the jeans on, he tried to stay turned away from Sue so she wouldn't see the holes. He wasn't successful and she told him to get them off. Then she noticed his undershorts had a hole in them. When she told him to get those off also, he told her he didn't have any other ones to wear. She handed him a pair of pink panties and a pair of white stirrup pants to wear. He gingerly put them on. He asked if she would pick him up some new underwear. She said she would in 2 days when she got paid. He felt better about that. At least she was going to get him some new underwear. That day when she got home, she told him Monica's was looking for help. She said she had stopped to see what kind of help, and Monica had told her it was to unpack the incoming clothes and put it on the racks and to fill in as a salesperson if they got busy. She told him to get into the car as she had told Monica she would be right back with someone to fill that job. He protested that he couldn't go dressed as he was, but she told him in no uncertain terms that he was going to apply for that job. She said maybe he would earn enough to buy new clothes. He hadn't thought about that. Slowly he walked to the car and got in. Sue drove and soon they were at the store. Monica was very nice and never mentioned what he was wearing. She asked him if he thought he would be able to unpack boxes of dresses and put them on racks. She wondered if he would be able to assist women making purchases. He assured her that he could. She told him he was hired, but he could only work there on her terms, then asked him to sign a contract as she had losing too many salespeople after spending time and money training them. He agreed and signed a 3-page contract without reading it. She was surprised he was willing but glad he was immediately available, and took him into the store and explained how each rack had a number and how the numbering system went. She told him she would check each box and mark on it what number rack the clothes went on. She showed him the cash registers and how they worked. She gave him an employee number and password to enter when he would have to use the cash register. An hour later she said it was closing time and that she would see him there tomorrow morning at 8:30. She said there was employee parking in back and to come in the back door. The next morning he felt really good as he approached the back door to start work. Monica had showed him where the incoming clothes were, and yesterday he saw there were a lot of boxes there. He was anxious to get started. He was opening the first box marked Rack 11 when Monica came in. She looked at him and gasped. "What's the problem?" "I am just getting these things for Rack 11. You didn't read your contract, did you?" "No, Why do you ask? It says in it that all employees will wear stock from our floor. No exceptions. Where are the men's clothes? I'll go pick some out. This is a women's dress shop, not a men apparel store. All we have is women's clothes. You will wear a dress and heels while you are at work here. You're lucky the store doesn't open for close to an hour. We can get you dressed and ready for the opening. I think I'll quit then. There's a paragraph there that if you quit before the year is up you will immediately pay me $2,000. That covers any training and other expenses I may incur. Do you have the $2,000? No. I don't. Then come on. Follow me and I'll help you pick out some clothes to wear. She led him into the store and quickly picked him out a blouse and jumper to wear. She got him some pantyhose and a silk slip. She took him to where the shoes were, and the only ones she could find to fit him were some 4-inch heel pumps. She took him to a changing room and told him to be quick about it, and if he had any questions to call her. When he was all dressed, he found he had trouble walking in the heels. He called her and asked if she couldn't find some lower-heeled ones. She told him that was all they had right now, but she would order some for him. She told him to point his toes straight forward. He did and found it was somewhat easier to walk. But he still looked like a man wearing women's clothes. Monica looked him over and decided that something had to be done about it. So 5 minutes later she had glued some breast forms on him. Someone had ordered them but never picked them up. She had had them for close to a year and never knew what to do with them. He looked better, but he could be improved. 5 minutes before opening she called him over the intercom to come to the front of the store. He went and she said she had just talked to Sally Brown, who owned the beauty parlor across the street. She said that was where she always went and that she had set up an appointment for him in 5 minutes for Sally to do his hair and some other things. She told him he'd better get a move on to get over there. She opened the front door for him to leave. He walked into the beauty parlor, thinking that it was the first time he had ever been in one. A lady in her 40s greeted him and told him her name was Sally. She told him to sit in her chair and immediately swung a tray in front of him. She went to work on his nails and 40 minutes later he had false nails that extended well past his fingertips. They were a ravishing shiny red. Then she had him go over to where she shampooed his hair. He enjoyed that, but it ended too soon for him. Then it was back into the chair. She clipped some hair and then inserted rollers that he thought were too tight, but when he said something she told him they were the way they were supposed to be. She finished with the rollers and put some lotion on the rollers and then a plastic bonnet on him. Then she started on his eyebrows. He didn't think he could take any more when she stopped and started to work on his eyes. She said Monica had told her to give him the deluxe treatment, so she was going to give him everything. She glued longer false eyelashes on his eyes and put on a soft pastel pink eyeshadow, telling him to wear a darker color in the evening. She was massaging something on his cheeks when she told him that this would last probably a couple of weeks. Then she went to work on his lips. She put 4 shots into his lips and told him it was to make them plumper. That he now had kissable lips. Then she outlined his lips and filled it in with a red to match his nails. Then she asked him if he would like her to take the rollers out. He said yes, so she did. When she had them all out, she started to shape his hair with a hair pick. She told him she had given him a pixie because with his facial shape a pixie would look really good on him. The whole time, she had him facing away from the mirror. When she finished, she spun him around and he got to look for the first time. He didn't believe it was him. It wasn't the face he was used to seeing in a mirror. It was the face of a woman, and not a bad-looking one at that. She told him he would need to get his nails filled in 2 weeks and that she would refresh his makeup then. She gave him a card with his next appointment on it. He saw it was at noon and knew she was scheduling him during his lunch hour. He went back to the store, and Monica couldn't get over the change in him. She told him he looked beautiful. He couldn't help but feel a sense of pride when she said that. He went back to stocking the shelves with a smile on his face. She pinned a name tag on the front of his dress that read to Mia. She told him she had picked that name so he wouldn't have to wear one that said Tim when he looked the way he did. She told him it was a very feminine-sounding name. By mid-afternoon his legs were a little sore. He attributed it to his not working for so long as well as to his high heels. The stocking was going well and he could see a lot of progress with the stack of boxes getting smaller. He asked Monica where the empty boxes went and she told him about the 2 dumpsters outside and back, one for paper and the other for common garbage. He had 4 dresses for rack 31 and as he was heading for the rack he saw a lady looking at dresses on that rack. He went to hang up the dresses in his hand when the lady asked him the size of one he was carrying. He looked and told her. She said that was just her size. She took it from him and went to a changing room. He was putting more dresses on rack 33 when the lady came and told him she would take that dress. She asked if there were any other dresses in her size. He told her he would go look in back and return shortly. He was lucky, as there were only 4 boxes of dresses left. He looked through them and in the last box found 2 her size. He took them out to her. They were both for rack 42, so he knew where they'd go if she didn't take them. She took both of them plus the one she had tried on earlier, and told him she was ready to check out. He led her to the register and checked her out. The total was almost $300. She told him she would look for him whenever she shopped there. She introduced herself as Sonia Christie. He went back and in no time had the entire incoming stock put on the proper racks. He went to find Monica to see what to do next. She told him to take a break and showed him a small room with a coffee pot and some cookies on a small table. He was having a cup of coffee and a cookie and started thinking about what had happened to him. He didn't like the idea of having to wear a dress, but the job wasn't hard and he had to admit that he was enjoying doing it. After his break, Monica told him to cruise the store and arrange any dresses that looked out of place. He did that and saw a couple of dresses that looked fascinating to him. It was soon quitting time and Monica told him he did an excellent job. He had never been told that before. He thought about changing into the clothes he had worn to work but decided not to. Monica gave him 3 bags of clothes she said he would need for work in the next few days. She also told him if a dress caught his eye he should buy it, that she would take it out of his paycheck minus his employee discount. He arrived home and sat in the car for over 5 minutes, wondering how Sue would take his transformation. He finally got out to face the music. He knew she would accept his explanation of why he was wearing a dress. He entered the house and Sue saw him immediately. She was flabbergasted, saying, "My gosh, look at you. You look so nice. What happened?" He explained about having to wear the store's stock for work and his trip to the beauty parlor. He told her about the $2,000 payment if he didn't stay a full year. She listened to every word he said. "Well, at least you are working, not sitting around the house. I think you look fabulous. That is the best you have looked in all the time I've known you. You look so different, but you look so great. I never thought you'd look like that. If I did, I would have had you changed long ago." He blushed at her remarks and told her he didn't care about wearing a dress, but he had to do it to keep the job. After the year was up, he said, he'd be out of there. Sue told him that was up to him. He asked her if she knew before he applied for the job that he would have to wear a dress. "I kind of suspected from what Monica told me, but I didn't think she would make it mandatory for you." Now, I am glad she did. You look so sweet in that dress. The next morning he dressed in a long floral print dress. He went to put on his makeup, and when he came out, Sue told him he had used too much eyeshadow. She took him back into the bathroom and showed him how to apply it properly. He thanked her and was ready for work. Sue chuckled at his Tamia name tag. At work there were only 3 boxes of dresses, so he was done by mid-morning. He was checking the racks for dresses hanging haphazardly when a lady came up to him. She said Sonia Christie had told her to look him up when she was shopping here. She asked about the latest arrivals. He guessed her size and she laughed when he was a size too small. She picked out 2 dresses and he checked her out. She told him he should wear a scarf or something to cover his Adam's apple. She told him women don't have prominent Adam's apples. He went and looked at scarves, those with the colors of his dresses. He found 6 and took them to Monica so she could charge them to him. She was happy that he was shopping for himself. He noticed a red dress with ruffles in front and around the skirt. For some reason he had to have it. Monica laughed when he brought it to her. She told him he could have it for free. He was ecstatic over getting it. The next morning he excitedly put on the red dress. He liked the white lace on the red ruffles. Sue almost laughed out loud at his carrying on. It was like someone who had found a treasure. You really like that dress, don't you? I figure if I have to wear dresses, I might as well wear ones I like the look of. I don't want to wear dresses, but if I have to, then I want to be happy with what I'm wearing. He grabbed a silk neck scarf with red roses on it, and wore it tied like it was the most natural thing in the world. He put on the red 4-inch heels, and was soon all ready for work. Sue had never seen him so enthusiastic about work before. She wondered what it was that attracted him to that job. At work, Monica smiled when she saw him. He looked so happy she wondered what had happened. She asked him what he was so happy about, and he told her he just felt happy. She asked him if he felt pretty, and he answered that he did. That afternoon Monica came and handed him an envelope. She told him it was his paycheck, which she had taken his hourly pay to pay towards the clothes he had gotten and his trip to the beauty parlor, which she had paid for him. But she wasn't taking any of his sales commissions towards his bill, and that the check was for his commission minus taxes. He opened it and saw the check was for $51.93. Monica told him she was paying him an 8% commission. She said she had paid a previous woman a 6% commission, but Sonia Christie had told her she better hang on to him, so she gave him the 2% raise in commission. That night he showed Sue the check as if it were a trophy. She asked if he was going out to buy some men's jeans with it. He told her no, that they were going out for supper to celebrate. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. He signed the check and gave it to her to get cashed for him. They were eating at a nice but inexpensive supper club. Their food had arrived and they were enjoying it in each other's company. Sue said, "You know, you surprised the daylights out of me. I thought you would fight having to wear dresses tooth and nail. Yet you seem to have grabbed a hold of the idea and are making the best of it. I am really, really proud of you." Well, to tell you the truth, at first I told Monica I quit and she told me the contract said I would have to pay $2,000 to quit. Then I figured once she saw me in a dress she would see how ridiculous I looked and would let me dress as a man. That didn't happen and I started enjoying the job. I don't know what there is about it, but I like what I'm doing. The customers accept me and I wonder why. One of the customers, Sonia Christie, knew I was a man because she told me about my Adam's apple. But she seemed like it was no big deal to her. That gave me a lot of confidence and now I enjoy selling the dresses and accessories. I have learned a lot about how women shop that I never realized before. Well, I am glad you are doing so well. You don't complain about the job like you did before, and you seem to be really happy. I am. I don't figure to sell dresses the rest of my life, but I am getting good training as a salesperson. I figure after the year is up I will try to get into one of the top-line men's stores as a salesman. That is a long way off. Take things as they go. Enjoy the moment and keep looking on the bright side. The meal took half of his check, but he didn't care. Sue was glad he was doing so well and she loved him all the more for it. The next day Monica surprised him with 3 pairs of lower-heeled shoes. There were black, red, and white pumps with the 2-inch heels. He immediately put on the black pair. Things went pretty well for him, and after 7 weeks of working there he finally got a full paycheck. He was surprised at how much it was for. His commissions were improving each week, and he was happy doing the job. Sue often wondered about the changes in him but never said anything to him. He was accepting the way things were. His closet contained more dresses than Sue's. He would see a dress that caught his eye and buy it. He would look in Monica's shoe catalog and have her order shoes he thought looked good. He now had over 20 pairs of women's shoes in all styles. Finally, the big day arrived. He had worked there for a full year. Monica gave him a raise in pay and increased his commission to 10%. He was very happy and enjoying the moment. Sue asked him if he was now going to quit at Monica's and go to a men's store, like he had said. He told her he had already checked, and both of the 2 men's clothing stores had told him there were no openings and none projected in the near future. He stayed at Monica's, and 5 years later she made him a junior partner. His future was bright and he was doing okay. Sue joked with him that they would have to turn the spare bedroom into a closet if he bought any more dresses. He gave serious thought to returning to men's clothes, and then justified the women's clothes as what had gotten him where he was today. He was a lot better off, and doing so well that he talked confidently to Sue. She agreed that he should remain in women's clothes. He was on top of the world. Life is good if you accept that sometimes unconventional changes have to be made.